more analysis. We're happy to be joined by Dr. Marcos Papadopoulos, expert in international affairs and specialist in Middle Eastern affairs. Welcome, Dr. Marcos. Is the American administration and Israeli government astonished with the last missile capabilities, and the last of which that happened in Dimona? What do you think?
Let us be emphatically clear about something. Iran attacked Dimona, which houses Israel's nuclear program, following America and Israel's attack on Bushehr and Natanz, which houses Iran's nuclear program. So, as a result, it is a matter of tit for tat, action, reaction. The Americans and the Israelis crossed a red line by striking Bushehr and Natanz, and in response, the Iranians have now attacked Dimona. Irrespective of what Trump says or what Netanyahu says, the reality is that there is little more that the Americans and the Israelis can throw at Iran aside from using nuclear weapons against the Iranians or launching a ground invasion of Iran. So nearly 3 weeks into the war now, it is very clear that the American and Israeli air campaign against Iran has failed.
How do these missile attacks against Israel constitute pressure against the Israeli and American administration to stop the war, or it rather constitutes another escalation that might take this war to a more comprehensive war?
In regard to Iran's strike on the city which houses Israel's nuclear facilities, there are two ways of looking at this. On the one hand, if Israel cannot defend Dimona, then clearly Iran has enormous leverage over Israeli airspace. On the other hand, the Israeli government, which is a very devious one, could have allowed Iran's missiles to strike Dimona as a way of bringing in other countries in the world, in particular Western countries, to join America and Israel in their war against Iran. Which one is it? Perhaps it is both, because Israel is sustaining enormous damage in all parts of the country. It is very clear that Israel's air defense systems have been overwhelmed. And even though the Americans have now transferred air defense systems to Israel, those have also been overwhelmed by Iran's missiles. But as I said, the Israelis are very cunning, so they could have allowed this to happen, namely the strike in Dimona, as a way of compelling other countries in the world to join their war against Iran.
I'm not sure if this is accurate or not, but in the last 3 days there have been decrease in the number of Iranian attacks directed to the Gulf countries versus increase in the frequency of the attacks that Iran, by which targeting Israel. Can we read this Iranian conduct as opening the way to regional mediations to reach eventually ceasefire?
I suspect the reason why there has been a decrease in Iranian missile attacks on the Arab Gulf countries is because the American military bases there have been so tremendously damaged, so devastated, that in many ways they are now impotent. And as a result of that, from a military perspective, it only makes sense for Iran to target more of its missiles at Israel. However, we are now aware that Trump has again made another threat. He has threatened to destroy Iran's oil and gas facilities. So If the Americans carry out that threat, then Iran will destroy the Arab Gulf countries' oil and gas facilities, which would mean that the Arab Gulf countries lose all importance in the region and in the world. And as a result of that, the world will suffer an enormous energy crisis. I do not believe that the Americans will go ahead with the threat that Trump made. Trump is making all sorts of tremendously angry threats, and I strongly believe that these threats come from desperation. The American administration is in an exceptionally deep quagmire, and they have been brought into this quagmire by the Israelis because the Israelis have Trump and other senior American politicians in their pockets.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, expert in international relations and specialist in the Middle Eastern affairs.